Dividing decimals. More specifically, dividing two decimal numbers. Okay, 3/4 was dividing one decimal number by a whole number, and today we will be dividing a decimal by a decimal. All right, so let's start off with something that looks like that. 18 and 2/10 divided by 1 and 4/10. Now, the first thing that I'm going to ask you is if it is or if it looks like this, can you divide? And the answer is no, you cannot. Okay. I would say that this is similar to not being able to compare fractions if they don't have a common denominator, right? Okay, you cannot divide two decimal numbers with different pieces and parts. It's just not possible. Okay, so if we set this up properly in our division, right, it would look something like this. You agree? Okay. The number out front is your divisor, right? Your divisor, in order to be able to divide, has to be what? It has to be what? It has to be a whole number. Okay? Your divisor has to be a whole number. You can't divide pieces and parts. Right? We can't take 4/10 and divide it into, you just can't do that. Okay, so the question arises, how do we get mathematically, how do we get 1 and 4/10 to be a whole number? And we briefly talked about this, I believe, where back in 3-3, I believe. It was 3-2 or 3-3. Anybody remember? Remember when we talked about multiplying by tens, hundreds, and thousands? Remember that? Okay, this is where you're going to have to know how to do that. Okay, the easy part is you're going to see how the decimal moves. But over here, children, is the true understanding, because those or this information is what they might be asking you on the state test. Okay, again, do you understand what you are doing mathematically rather than finding the exact answer? Again, I'm not sure why half of you are scrolling on your computer, but that's for another day. Okay, so how many places to the right do we have to multiply 1 and 4/10 to get it to be a whole number? Brady. We got to move it 1, which means mathematically we are multiplying 1/4 by 10. Because what happens is the decimal moves one place to the right. Okay, it's similar to a fraction, as I mentioned. If we multiply the divisor by 10, we have to make things equal. What do we got to do to the dividend? Got to multiply it by 10 as well, which is going to move that one place to the right as well. So our new problem is 14 divided by 182. What do you think the most common mistake here is? What do we need at the end of the 2? We need the decimal point. Because it has moved between the 8 and the 2, we've got to put it at the end now. Okay, well, you don't have to at this moment, but what do I generally recommend you do at this juncture? Okay, hon? Yeah, I'd add a couple zeros. You're right. Okay, again, that's just habit for me. I think as you do more math problems, you're going to see that you're going to need some zeros. Okay, I would add them as well. All right, and now you just simply divide like we did in 3-4. I mean, nothing changes. 14 goes into 18 one time. 4, bring down the 2. 14 goes into 42 3 times, and we get 42. Okay, so your answer here is actually just 13. Remembering that we don't put a decimal point at the end of a whole number. Right? I would not mark that wrong, but that looks kind of funny. If you're going to put the decimal point there, I would certainly add a 0. That looks a lot better than 13 decimal. That makes sense? But again, you truly only need the whole number 13. So far, so good? Mm-hmm. All right. 273,000 divided by 3,900. Okay, again, what I want to emphasize here, because if you pick up a calculator and you plug these numbers into the calculator behind, how do I say this? Behind the scenes, inside the calculator, whatever you want to call it, is doing the multiplication of moving the decimal for you. Does that make sense? Listen, I've seen this type of question on the test throughout the years. They don't want the answer. They want to know what you multiply by. And most of the kids go, I don't know. Okay, that's not good. You have to understand what you're doing mathematically in order to get it. Okay, most people are okay with you making a little boo-boo, but not understanding what to do, that's the real issue. Does that make sense? Okay, and again, it's division. So not only are they testing you, can you divide and your facts and all that stuff, do you know the parts of division? And can you get them in the right spot? Okay, what do we got to multiply by here? Just yell it out. Anybody? What do we got to yell? What do we got to multiply by? Uh-oh, we don't know. I'm concerned. You have to look at your divisor, and you have to make the divisor a whole number. Benson. Okay, we got to multiply by 100 this time. Why? Because we have to move it twice to get the whole number of 39. Okay, now if you look at your dividend, it's only going to move twice, and it's not going to be at the end of the number now. Okay, so now our problem is 39 divided by 27 and 3/10. Okay, it's not always going to end up at the end of the number. Brady, do you have a question? Okay. Okay, so I want to get that preconceived notion out of your head. The decimal is not always going to end up at the end. It depends. Okay, bring the decimal up into the quotient, and now this is literally lesson 3-4. Dividing a decimal by a whole number. 39 goes into 27 0 times. 39 goes into 200. Let's try 7. That would be 63. Carry the 6. Voila, look at that. So our answer is 7/10. And again, as I'll keep saying, you don't have to have that 0 there. Actually, in middle school and beyond, you don't need the 0. There's no need for it. Okay. I know in elementary school you did, but you don't have to have them anymore. You can if you want. Everybody good? Okay, next one. Two and 4,500 divided by 7,000. Okay, so if we set this up, question is, what are we going to multiply the divisor by? Benson, you seem to be on the ball today. 1,000. 1, 2, 3. Uh-oh, look here. 1, 2. Our decimal goes there. What are we missing?
0.
Okay, we got to annex a 0 in our dividend. Okay, not only do we have them in our divisor as we did with whole numbers, but now you may have to and again, one of the most common mistakes is forgetting your decimal point, which I'm not sure why, because that's what we're doing. We're dividing decimals. You have to have a decimal point somewhere. All right, here we go. How many 7s go into 24? That would be 3. That would be 21. Bring down the 5. 7 goes into 35. 5 times. Oops. I messed up. Okay, now look here. This is why we're doing this. You have to have all of the digits get to the decimal point. You can't stop here, even though there's nothing left, right? Our remainder is a 0. We can't divide anymore. But our last number is in the tens column, right? So you have to have a number to the left of the decimal point. You can't stop dividing until that's filled up. So you have to bring down another number. The next number, okay, it's a 0. How many 7s go into 0? That would be 0. Now you've filled that, and now your answer is 350, not 35. Again, if you were to check it, correct? You take 35 and multiply it by what? 7, you wouldn't get 2,450. Right? You get 245. You'd be short. Okay, so you have to keep going until the place values are filled up to the decimal point. Everybody good? All right. All right, try that one on your own there. 459 thousandths divided by 5100. We good? All right, what are we multiplying the divisor by, Masa? Okay, we're multiplying by 100. We got to move it twice in the divisor. We got to move it twice in the dividend. So our real problem is 51 divided by 45 and 9/10. Okay, 51 doesn't go into 45. 51 into 459. 9 times. Voila, your answer is 9/10. All right, any questions about dividing a decimal by a decimal? One of the most common mistakes is you're going to move it in the divisor and you're going to forget to move it in your dividend. And if that is the case, you will be wrong every time. All right, no questions. You may start your homework. 1 through 43, the odds.